Forward! Don't let them break the line!
Welcome back to our journey through the story of France. In the last episode, we watched Rome crumble and a new people, the Franks, begin to rise. We saw Clovis become a powerful king, build the first Frankish kingdom, and open the door to a new chapter in history. Now the world is changing again. New leaders are emerging, new ideas are forming, and a family of rulers, the Carolingians, will shape the destiny of Europe. Among them stands one man whose name still echoes across the centuries, Charlemagne. He would build one of the greatest empires of the early Middle Ages, bringing learning, peace, and unity to a land once filled with battles and uncertainty. This is the story of how villages grew into cities, how schools returned after centuries of silence, and how a powerful leader brought hope to millions. It is a story of courage, wisdom, and the birth of a new empire. Before we continue our journey through the 100 Years' War, take a moment to help our channel grow. If you're enjoying the story, click the subscribe button, give this video a like, and share it with someone who loves history. And don't forget to leave a comment. It helps more people discover these amazing stories. All right, now let's return to the history.
Charge! Forward! Don't let them break the line!
Before Charlemagne was born, the Frankish kingdom was changing quickly. The Merovingian kings had ruled for many generations, but their power was fading. Many kings preferred feasts and comfort rather than leading their people. Important decisions were no longer made by the kings themselves. Instead, a new leader was rising from within the kingdom, the mayor of the palace. This official controlled the army, the land, and the nobles. Among these mayors was a strong and clever man named Charles Martel. He protected the kingdom from dangerous invaders, defeated powerful enemies, and earned great respect. People trusted him more than the kings. His victories made it clear that the kingdom needed strong leadership. Charles Martel passed his strength to his son, Pepin, and when Pepin became the mayor of the palace, he realized that the time had come for change. The old kings had lost their influence, and the people needed a true ruler who could guide them. Pepin made a bold decision. With the support of leaders and the blessing of the church, he became king himself. This act began a new dynasty, the Carolingian family. This new family promised stability, protection, and growth. And soon, a young boy would be born into it. His name was Charlemagne, and he would become the greatest ruler of early medieval Europe. Before Charlemagne was born, the Frankish kingdom was changing quickly. The Merovingian kings had ruled for many generations, but their power was fading. Many kings preferred feasts and comfort rather than leading their people. Important decisions were no longer made by the kings themselves. Instead, a new leader was rising from within the kingdom, the mayor of the palace. This official controlled the army, the land, and the nobles. Among these mayors was a strong and clever man named Charles Martel. He protected the kingdom from dangerous invaders, defeated powerful enemies, and earned great respect. People trusted him more than the kings. His victories made it clear that the kingdom needed strong leadership. Charles Martel passed his strength to his son, Pepin, and when Pepin became the mayor of the palace, he realized that the time had come for change. The old kings had lost their influence, and the people needed a true ruler who could guide them. Pepin made a bold decision. With the support of leaders and the blessing of the church, he became king himself. This act began a new dynasty, the Carolingian family. This new family promised stability, protection, and growth. And soon, a young boy would be born into it. His name was Charlemagne, and he would become the greatest ruler of early medieval Europe. Charlemagne grew up in a world of wooden halls, stone churches, and fields stretching far into the distance. As a child, he learned many skills. He listened to stories of brave warriors. He watched scribes write letters and copy books. He rode horses across open fields and trained with wooden swords. His teachers taught him to be fair, patient, and wise. He grew tall and strong. His presence made people feel safe. He had a curious mind, always wanting to learn more about distant lands, different languages, and new ideas. Although the world around him could be rough and unpredictable, Charlemagne believed that a leader must bring peace and order. When his father, King Pepin, passed away, the kingdom was divided between Charlemagne and his brother Carloman. At first, the two brothers ruled side by side, but their partnership was difficult. They made different decisions and followed different ideas. The kingdom felt uncertain again. Then, unexpectedly, Carloman passed away. Charlemagne became the sole ruler of the Frankish kingdom. People looked to him with hope. They believed he had the strength and wisdom to lead them into a brighter future. And they were right. Charlemagne was ready to change the world. Charlemagne wanted to create a strong and united empire where people felt protected and proud. To do this, he traveled constantly. He rode on horseback through mountains, forests, and rivers to visit every part of his kingdom. He talked with villagers, listened to their problems, and made decisions to help them. When the kingdom was threatened by enemies, from the Saxons in the north to the Lombards in the south, Charlemagne acted quickly. He organized his armies with skill and bravery. His warriors trusted him, for he always marched with them, sharing their hardships and encouraging them in difficult times. Charlemagne also believed in justice. He created new laws to guide the kingdom, making sure everyone understood what was fair and what was not. He sent trusted officials called counts to watch over regions, collect taxes, and keep peace. With these changes, the kingdom grew safer and more united. Little by little, Charlemagne's empire expanded across much of Western Europe. But power was not the only thing he cared about. He wanted the people to grow wiser, kinder, and more knowledgeable. He believed that the empire should be strong not only in battle, but also in learning. In Charlemagne's time, many people could not read or write. Books were rare, and schools were few. Charlemagne wanted to change this. He believed that learning was the key to a peaceful and successful kingdom. So he invited scholars from across Europe to his court. These wise men taught reading, writing, math, and history. They copied old books to save them for future generations. Charlemagne ordered churches and monasteries to open schools for children. Boys learned to read and understand important texts. Some learned how to become scribes, carefully copying words onto parchment with ink. Others trained to become leaders, priests, or advisors. This great effort to bring back learning is called the Carolingian Renaissance. During this time, new ideas blossomed. Art improved. Music became more beautiful. Letters were written more clearly. People began to understand the world better. Charlemagne himself learned many skills. Although he found writing difficult, he studied hard and encouraged everyone around him to do the same. He knew that knowledge could change lives. Through learning, he helped transform his empire into a place of wisdom and hope. As Charlemagne's empire grew stronger, his reputation spread across Europe. Many saw him not just as a king, but as a protector of peace and faith. In Rome, the Pope watched Charlemagne's rise with admiration. The city needed stability and defense, and Charlemagne had the power to provide it. On a winter morning in the year 800, Charlemagne visited Rome. During a ceremony in a great church, the Pope placed a golden crown on his head and declared him Emperor of the Romans. This title was more than an honor. It symbolized the rebirth of an empire that had once ruled Europe centuries earlier. Charlemagne accepted the crown with humility. He understood the responsibility it carried. As emperor, he promised to protect the weak, encourage learning, and guide his people with justice. Under his leadership, trade expanded. Roads were repaired. Travelers moved more safely. Farmers grew more food. Families lived with new confidence. The empire reached its greatest strength during his reign. People across Europe admired him. His name inspired respect. He had become not only a king, but a symbol of unity and hope.
I have prepared you to lead. Remember the lessons I taught you, and rule with wisdom and justice.
Before we continue, here's a quick reminder. If you're enjoying this story, please subscribe, like the video, share it, and leave a comment. It helps the channel grow and brings more history lovers into our journey. Now, let's continue the story.
I have prepared you to lead. Remember the lessons I taught you, and rule with wisdom and justice.
Charlemagne ruled for many years. When he grew older, he spent more time teaching his children and preparing them to lead wisely. He continued to work tirelessly for the good of his people. His halls were filled with scholars, leaders, and families who trusted him. When Charlemagne passed away, the empire mourned deeply. They remembered his kindness, his fairness, and his strength. Though his empire would later divide among his descendants, his influence remained. He had brought learning back to Europe. He had united many lands. He had shown that a leader could be both strong and wise. Charlemagne is often called the father of Europe because his work shaped the future of many nations, including France. His dream of a united and educated kingdom inspired countless generations. This is the story of Charlemagne, warrior, teacher, builder, and emperor. His life marked the beginning of a new era, and his legacy continues to shine across the centuries. Welcome back to our journey through the story of France. In the last episode, we followed the rise of Charlemagne, the growth of learning, and the birth of an empire that shaped Europe. But after his time, the world began to change again. Charlemagne's empire slowly divided, new rulers took power, and villages faced new dangers and new hopes. This new chapter of France is filled with towering castles, busy markets, grand cathedrals, and brave kings and queens. It is a time when people worked hard, traveled far, built wonders that touched the sky, and lived through moments of great challenge. This was the Middle Ages, a world full of courage, creativity, and change. After the days of Charlemagne, France was a land of small villages, green fields, and stone churches. Families lived in simple wooden houses with straw roofs. Inside, warm fires kept the rooms bright and comfortable. People rose early, worked hard, and cared for one another. Farmers grew wheat, barley, and vegetables. Shepherds watched over sheep on wide grassy hills. Children helped collect water, gather firewood, feed animals, and learn their family's trade. Life was busy but filled with simple joys, festivals, dances, and stories told by the fire at night. Villagers trusted their local lord for protection. In return, they worked the land and shared part of their harvest. Each village had a bell tower that rang throughout the day, calling people to work, prayer, or safety. Travelers passed through villages on horseback or on foot, carrying news from distant towns. Monks copied books in quiet rooms. Merchants traded wool, salt, and tools. Though life was sometimes difficult, the people found strength in community, faith, and tradition. This was the heartbeat of medieval France, a land alive with everyday stories. As dangers grew across the land, lords and kings needed stronger ways to protect their people. And so castles began to rise, first from wood, then from stone. These castles stood on hills, surrounded by thick walls, towers, and deep ditches filled with water. At the center of a castle stood the keep, a tall stone building where people could shelter during attacks. Inside its walls, life was lively. Blacksmiths hammered metal into armor and tools. Bakers prepared bread in hot ovens. Children ran through courtyards. Horses neighed in stables. Guards trained with swords and practiced archery every day. Castles were not just fortresses. They were the heart of medieval power. Lords held meetings, settled disputes, and planned defense. Messengers came to deliver news. Families celebrated feasts in long halls decorated with banners. The sight of a castle rising above fields and rivers gave villagers a feeling of safety. Castles became symbols of strength, leadership, and hope, protecting the land during troubled times. To keep the kingdom strong, medieval society worked like a giant team. This system is called feudalism. At the top stood the king. Below him were powerful nobles who controlled large lands. These nobles promised to serve the king and protect the kingdom. In return, the king trusted them with important responsibilities. Knights were the heroes of this system. They trained from childhood, learning to ride horses, use swords, and show honor. Young boys started as pages, helping knights and learning good manners. Later, they became squires, practicing battle skills. Only after years of training could they become full knights. Knights protected the land from invaders and kept roads safe for travelers. They wore shining armor and carried shields painted with colorful symbols. But they also learned to be respectful, kind, and loyal. Peasants and farmers worked the land. They grew food for the whole community and were protected by the Lord's knights. Everyone depended on each other. It was a system built on promises, loyalty, and hard work. Though life was not always easy, feudalism held the kingdom together during centuries of change. As villages grew, some of them turned into towns and cities. Traders, bakers, cloth makers, and carpenters gathered in busy markets. Wooden bridges stretched over rivers. Narrow streets filled with people selling bread, candles, fresh fish, and colorful fabrics. In the center of many cities rose something extraordinary: cathedrals. These giant stone buildings took decades, sometimes centuries, to complete. Builders carved statues, designed tall towers, and created windows made of bright, stained glass. These windows glowed with sunlight, telling stories from the Bible in colors of red, gold, and blue. Cathedrals became meeting places for towns. They brought people together for prayer, festivals, and celebrations. Skilled craftsmen traveled from faraway lands to work on them. Children grew up watching these wonders slowly rise, knowing they might never live to see the finished building, but they still helped by carrying stones, mixing mortar, or learning the crafts that kept construction going. As cathedrals grew, so did knowledge. Schools opened nearby. Libraries collected books. Monks and scholars taught reading, writing, and music. Cities became centers of learning and creativity. The Middle Ages were not only about battles, they were a time of incredible art and imagination. During the Middle Ages, France was led by many kings who shaped the land in different ways. After the Carolingians, a new family of rulers rose, the Capetians. Their first king, Hugh Capet, ruled from Paris, a growing and important city. Though he controlled only a small region at first, his family line would guide France for centuries. The Capetian kings worked to make the kingdom stronger. They built alliances with nobles, protected trade, and encouraged peace. Some kings traveled from town to town, listening to complaints and making fair decisions. Others supported the building of churches and the growth of learning. As time passed, the king's power grew. More lands came under royal control. The kingdom became better organized, with clear laws and trusted officials. Kings were seen not just as warriors, but as guardians of justice. Families across France looked to the crown for leadership. Even though the world outside could be dangerous, the growing power of the French kings brought hope for a more peaceful future. The Middle Ages were filled with both triumphs and trials. While castles rose and cathedrals reached toward the sky, dangers still threatened the land. Sometimes rival lords fought each other. Sometimes foreign armies attacked. Fires swept through towns. Storms destroyed crops. Roads became blocked by floods or snow. Yet through every challenge, the people of medieval France found ways to rebuild and grow stronger. They planted new crops, repaired homes, helped neighbors, and trusted in their communities. With every hardship came new ideas, better tools, stronger buildings, safer roads. By the end of the Middle Ages, France was changing. Kings had more power, towns were busier, merchants traveled farther, children learned more in schools, and the people were preparing, without knowing it, for events that would shape their future even more dramatically. A great conflict was on the horizon, a conflict that would last more than 100 years and forever change the heart of France.
Charge! Forward! Don't let them break the line!
France was changing. Castles stood proudly across green hills, towns were growing busier, and kings were learning how to rule better than ever. But in the 1300s, a long cloud slowly drifted toward France, one that would take more than 100 years to pass. This cloud was a great conflict between two kingdoms that were supposed to be close neighbors, France and England. It began with a question that seemed simple. Who should be the next king of France? The French people believed the crown should stay with a French prince. But the King of England, Edward III, said he also had a family connection and should rule France too. Two powerful kingdoms, two different claims. And from this disagreement, a long war began. At first, England's armies were strong and surprising. They used longbows that could shoot arrows far and fast, and these arrows fell like rain on the French knights. Great battles like Crécy and Poitiers left France worried and confused. Many brave knights were captured, and even a French king was taken prisoner. Towns grew quiet. People whispered in the markets, wondering when peace would return. But France still held on. Families continued farming, merchants kept selling goods, and children played in the streets, trying to forget the troubles around them. Even in hard times, the spirit of France stayed warm. Then another sadness spread across Europe, the Black Death, a terrible sickness that carried away millions of people. Villages became empty, and both armies were weakened. For a moment, everyone paused, hoping the world would heal. When the fighting started again, England seemed stronger once more. The French crown almost slipped away. Some towns switched sides. Some nobles argued with each other. It felt as if the country was losing its balance. But history is full of unexpected heroes. In the small village of Domremy, a young girl named Jean, known today as Joan of Arc, began to dream of helping her country. She wasn't a soldier. She wasn't rich. She couldn't even read. But she believed that France could rise again. People listened because her courage was bright and honest. Joan traveled across villages and forests until she reached the prince who wished to be king. She told him that France could still win. Many doubted her, but something in her voice made people stand taller. Soldiers who had lost hope began to believe once more. With Joan's guidance, the French army marched to the city of Orléans. It had been under English control for too long. But Joan encouraged the troops, and suddenly the French fought with new strength. Gates opened, flags waved, and Orléans was freed. All of France celebrated. For the first time in many years, people felt joy returning. Although Joan's journey ended with sadness, captured by enemies and lost too soon, her bravery changed everything. Her actions helped the French crown find its future. Kings and soldiers continued the fight, stronger and more united than before. Little by little, castle by castle, the land of France came back into French hands. The war finally ended in 1453, after more than a century of battles, losses, and courage. England kept only one small city in France. The rest of the kingdom stood proud, ready to grow into the powerful nation it would become. When the war ended, children could play again in peaceful fields. Farmers returned to their lands. Bells rang in towns that had been silent too long. And the story of France moved forward, shaped by heroes, hardships, and the unbreakable hope of its people. The 100 Years' War is remembered today not only for battles, but for the courage that appears when ordinary people, like Joan of Arc, find extraordinary strength inside themselves.
Charge! Forward! Don't let them break the line!
In this episode, we followed France through one of the longest and most challenging chapters in its history, the 100 Years' War. A conflict born from a dispute over a crown grew into a century of battles, shifting fortunes, and moments of deep uncertainty. We saw brave knights defending their homeland, families holding on to hope, and a young girl from Domremy, Joan of Arc, rise from ordinary life to change the destiny of a nation. Through victories and losses, sickness and struggle, France endured. And when the war finally ended, the land stood stronger, united, and ready for the future. This story reminds us that even in the darkest times, courage can come from the most unexpected places. Thank you for watching this journey through history. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, like, share, and leave a comment to support the series and help more people discover these stories. See you in the next chapter.